Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually have one of the legendary Wu-Tang generals right here live on the line, man. We got Inspectah right here. How are you doing this evening?
Yo, yo, what's good, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I gotta say, first and foremost, man, I have been a fan of yours for so many years, man, so just thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time here this evening.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me, man. Been a long time, man. 25, 30 years later, it's good to still be appreciated. You know what I'm saying?
But I know you're a busy guy, man, but I'm going to dive right into this, and I want to take you back to the very beginning, man. And I have to ask, what is the story behind the Wu-Tang Clan? Like, what's the origin story behind the group? How did you actually get connected with the other legendary members?
Oh man, this story is crazy, man. But it's really we four of us from the same neighborhood. Me, Raekwon, Meth, and you God from Park Hill. RZA and Ghost were living in Stapleton. Jizza, Old Dirty, Matt Killer was in Brooklyn. Um, the way I hooked up, man, I had a rap battle out in RZA's neighborhood, and I knew of RZA, but I didn't know him personally at the time, so I met him at that instant, and he invited me to come to his house. He liked my rhymes. I told Meth, I told you God. We all just met down at RZA house, and, I met Dirty, Master Killer, and this is going way back to the beginning days, so, it's been a long time ago. I knew these brothers for years. Some of us grew up since we were 8 and things of that nature. And just coming down to RZA house that day with Meth and you God and meeting the whole crew, we met up with Ghost and everybody down there, man, and we used to just rhyme on RZA's balcony in the projects. And we used to have people walking by, checking us out. And, it was just an everyday thing. And then one day RZA came to us and said, hey, I got this record deal. Who's down? And, that's the story of my life right there. That changed my life.
And also, man, one of my favorite Wu-Tang records actually is your guys' debut album, which is actually 36 Chambers. That actually got released, November 9th of 1993. I was wondering, can you tell us a bit more about that amazing record? And of course, how does it actually feel to know that that is still one of the most popular albums today at like 30 plus years later?
Yeah, man, it's bigger than Nino Brown. It's big business. It feels good, though. Like, I'm not complaining. I just remember the first day, when I heard that record played on the airwaves. Shout out to DJs like Kid Capri, Ron G out here in the States. They liked it. One thing when a DJ like your music, you don't really have to tell them, play my ish. They ran out there and they got it to where it needed to go. Stretch Armstrong and Bobito, people like that. It just blew my mind to hear that record come across the airwaves. We got everybody's family, RZA's sisters, cousins, everybody was in the house. Kid Capri told us he was going to play that record at a certain time, and he played it, and it came on the radio, man, and it sounded like nothing. We were listening to everything up until that moment. And when that record came on, the karate chops, it was like the whole house erupted, and Ray said it then, man. He's like, I know people are waiting for it because I'm waiting for it. We were anxious, we were ready. And that record, that album in general, was like the introduction to the world, man. And you got to remember, on that album, we didn't show our face. So nobody knew what we looked like or anything like that. So they wasn't judging us on that. They were judging us on, strictly the music.
And also, as well, I actually remember back in like 2018, I actually saw you guys and the rest of the Wu actually perform that entire record live in Ottawa, Ontario, man, at Blues Fest. And I just got to say, first and foremost, man, that listening to the album is great, but actually being able to hear you guys actually perform that was absolutely monumental.
Yeah, that's dope. We don't do that a lot. We had a few occasions to perform the whole 36 album. We did a tour doing the whole 36 album as well. But, out of the whole 20-something years we've been doing this, so we haven't really performed the whole album much. So it's been like a people like yourself who's been able to see that, you know.
And also, when we're still on the topic of that album, one of my personal favorite songs is actually Method Man. And the one thing I was always wondering was the story behind the pre-song dialogue where you guys were sitting around and, well, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. You made the record, but I was wondering, what's the story behind that dialogue? Was it actually just freestyled, or did you guys actually sit down and was like, all right, we're going to talk about this, and then this, and like the spiked bat and whatnot, or did you guys just kind of free throw that actually out there in the microphone?
Are you talking about just making the album, or like Method Man record in general?
Oh, like the Method Man song, because I remember the pre dialogue was talking about like killing people and whatnot, like hitting people's nuts with a spiked bat.
Oh, you talking about Torture?
Yeah.
The skit Torture. Oh man, Torture was just something we used to say in the studio, man. Bored, just ranking on each other. You know, I'll slap your daughter with a spiked kiss glove. You know, like just stupidness, man. Whatever you could think of that you thought was like painful or anything that was like torture. You know, and that was just silliness. RZA was like, yeah, let's record that. Let's record that because you know our album, our skits was us talking. You know, like yo, where's my killer tape? You know, dudes just came over with 40s and blunts and it came up missing. You know, like what you mean it came up missing? Like you know that's them things. That's why I think people gravitated to it because you know it was more real. Like you know how many times you lent somebody something and you come to get it, they might have lent it to somebody else or things of that nature. You know, and Torture was just a game we played. But it was crazy about the Method Man song. The song that made the album was like the third version. Meth did like 3 versions of that. There's a remix out. You can probably catch it on YouTube, Method Man remix. And he did a West Coast version as well.
I knew about the remix. I didn't know about the West Coast version. I always thought like the remix was just like a kind of like a fan made video. I didn't know there was actually 3 separate versions of that particular song.
Yeah, man. There's the one on the album. There's the remix, and there's another one he did. It's just I think it's the remix again. So let's say there's 2 versions, but two mixes to it. The West Coast one is dope. I haven't heard it in a while, but I clearly used to play it alongside. I forget what it's called, but it's definitely like either smoked out mix or something like that. Yeah, y'all check for that, man. Y'all get in that head.
And also, as well, in the year 1998, you were actually featured on Gang Starr's track Above the Clouds. I was wondering if you can actually shed some light on that collaboration, and of course, what is one of your most fondest memories you actually share with the late, great Guru?
One of my fondest memories came probably, excuse me, probably came on that night. I ran into Guru, Dot X, and my man Carl Thomas in a club on the west side in New York. And I just saw a line. I saw some pretty women. I was like, okay, what's going on over here? I was leaving the studio, pulled up, and ran into Sadat outside, went inside. Guru was inside with Carl Thomas, and he was like, hey, man, I'm doing my album tomorrow. You should stop by the studio. At that time, it was a studio called D&D Studios, famous studio. DJ Premier, a lot of the Duck Down boot camp music was recorded there. So I came through the next day, and Premier made that beat on the spot, you know, Above the Clouds. I watched him make it from scratch, and Guru told me what it was about, and we just sat down, man, and you know, it's kind of like he went over there, sat in his corner, I sat in my corner, and then we came up with these verses, and then we kicked them to each other, and was like, that's it. You know, and the most memorable part, really, for me, is because, you know, I'm still a fan of the art. Just sitting there with Primo, DJ Premier, and watching him make that beat from scratch. And I used to do that with RZA a lot, you know, and that's what taught me, you know, RZA indirectly taught me how to make beats myself, along with mathematics, you know, and True Master. So, you know, watching Premier make that beat was just crazy, like 15 minutes and, you know, like beefing it up and putting the scratches in there and he put the you know, up in the sky, put all that up in there. I'm just like, damn, like I thought RZA was the illest. This dude is crazy, and that to me is monumental.
And I gotta say, man, Primo is still doing his thing today, man, and doing it very well at that, man. He's still putting out countless hits.
Yeah, Primo's one of the greatest. He's gonna go down top 10, guaranteed.
Oh, I most definitely agree, man. I 100% agree. I agree with that one.
Yeah, he's still with the art form. He still scratches and uses real turntables. Like, he's like, I'm not gonna say anti Serato and all that stuff, but he likes his turntables.
And also, as well, man, on October 5th of 1999, so just a year later after the Gangstar collaboration, man, you actually released your debut studio album titled Uncontrolled Substance. I was always wondering, man, what made you decide to venture into a solo career? And of course, can you tell us a bit more about that iconic album?
Yeah, man. Uncontrolled Substance. The real Uncontrolled Substance was lost in the flood that happened in Riz's house. We touched on it in the documentary on Showtime of Mike's and Men. RZA had a flood in his house that wiped out my original album. I still got the floppy disks. Back then we used floppy disks. I still got the wet floppy disks. They never were able to play again and read. So I had to make Uncontrolled Substance on the move, like on tour, writing the rhymes, getting the beats. And then when we came off the tour, everybody was scattered at that time because, when you ask what made me pursue a solo career, at that time, Dirty got signed, Meth got signed, Ray and Ghost was in the works. Everybody was getting their individual deals because Wu-Tang came together with that thought in mind, like, we all go through, but come in together and then branch out. That's why the deal, you saw us do that, come in as a group. Everybody had the option to find their own deal, and Steve Rifkin had to match it or let us go. Shout out to Steve Rifkin because, he did a lot for us at that time. That deal was unprecedented at that time, and he rolled the dice, man. He went to Vegas and rolled the dice, and he scored. So, yeah, me doing Uncontrolled Substance on the move, I wasn't able to really get the sound that I wanted to. I only got like 3 RZA beats. I got some True Masters and Fourth Disciple and people like that. But I didn't really get that essence of having a RZA-produced album. I mean, that could be the story of Inspectah Deck going gold or Inspectah Deck being a platinum artist right now. Had that album been RZA-produced, I believe it would have went platinum because it's gold already. And we'd probably be having a different conversation, man, as a platinum artist. It's like having a Super Bowl ring, or winning that World Cup, You win the World Cup, they talk to you different.
And I gotta say as well, man, I still really enjoy your debut album, man. I gotta admit, I wish the first version didn't get ruined in the flood, man. Because I gotta say, it definitely would be monumental to have the opportunity to hear that. But one of my favorite records off that is actually Word on the Street. Still one of my favorite go-to tracks.
Yeah, Word on the Street, man. That was like, pardon me, man, smoking that good stuff.
Hey, it's all good, man.
Yeah, Word on the Street was like a song that I had in the pocket that I made a beat to, and I let a few people hear it. I wanted to actually get a new beat, and when I let a few people hear it, they thought it was, this is different, And I was like, okay, I didn't want to use that as a single. But when you're dealing with labels, man, you sign the labels, you pretty much under their jurisdiction. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really have a lot of say-so on what was what. I was just playing the artist signed to a label part. But that song in particular was a song I had on the hip that I was like, man, I didn't know if I wanted to put that out, as a single. I thought that was like an album cut or whatever, but they thought it was good enough. Maybe they thought that was one of the better songs on the album. I don't know, I know that people love that album. People love Word on the Street. People love Elevation, things of that nature. So, I believe That's a timeless classic. Although it didn't get the radio play of some of my brothers and things of that nature, I believe people still know, man. People know that when Dex show up, man, it's business. Dex show up like the Equalizer, you know? It doesn't matter what it's about. If we going to war or we talking about women, you know, I show up. I show up on the job, and, you know, I have a slogan. I tell my man Josh Gannon, my engineer for Redman also. He's actually Redman's engineer. He engineers for me also. Let me put it like that. But I have a slogan. I said, they're going to know when I'm gone. When I'm gone, and you go back through the Inspectah library and shit, don't play none of the singles, but play the album cut. You know, play the album cuts for me. You know, and they're gonna know when I'm gone, bro. Like I hear a lot of top five and this, that, and the third. When it comes to the art form, when it comes to lyrics, when it comes to the craft and doing this thing on the mic, I believe I'm top five, man. You know, it doesn't matter who agrees. I just look at what I say. You know, I have all my rhymes written down, and when I look back at them, I read my rhymes. Like I drop jewelry, bro, and I do it in a street form. I do it in a form where I narrate, and I don't necessarily gloat about myself a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of the Marvin Gaye of rap, the Curtis Mayfield of rap. You know, inner city blues and things of that nature.
And I have to say, I'm gonna completely agree with you. And it's not just because you're on my radio station. It could be someone else saying, and I would still agree. If they were to actually sit back and listen to your catalog, not just of the Wu-Tang stuff, but your also solo catalog as well, man, they can most definitely hear the real, rugged, raw, inspirational lyrics and your flow as well, man. Easily top 5 in my personal opinion, easily.
Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. And you know, if you go to the left, you know, I got 10 Czarface projects out there. You know, speaking of solo albums, you know, the movement, representation, things of that nature. But, you know, Czarface has 10 projects out there, man. And, you know, over the last 8 years, we developed a cult following similar to MF Doom, you know, to the point where we even teamed up with MF Doom and put an album out, 2 of them. You know, rest in peace to my brother, because he works hard and, you know, he's a good, inspirational brother, and he helped us out. He introduced us to his fans, you know, that whole comic book, hater, stoner generation that's out there, man. They love that, you know, and it allows me to break away from the Wu-Tang, gritty, hardcore shit, and I could just get on my pop culture references and things of that nature, you know. So I'm able to play all positions on the court, man, you know. I'm a big man, but I can still handle the rock. You know, that's how I feel.
And also, Czarface was actually in my question list as well. So since we're actually on the topic of that, I'm going to dive right into that, man. In 2013, you guys actually formed that supergroup, and I was always wondering, man, how did you actually meet the other members? And of course, how did Czarface initially come to be?
Yeah, I met Esoteric in around 2007, and him and DJ 7L came to me to do a track. We did a track called Speaking Real Words. And that joint got burned up in Boston, you know, up in Massachusetts where they're from. And it eventually leaked out and started getting around. And so the thought came up for us to do another song. But, you know, at that time in 2007, you know, Wu-Tang was touring heavy and I didn't have the time to sit down with it. So, you know, time passed, and yeah, 2013, we bumped into each other again, and it was like, yo, that would be a good time to put out, like, an album full of the shit we did. And, you know, just coming up with the name, we were like, you know, just throwing names around, and Czarface came up, and you know, that kind of fit. And my boy, shout out Lamore Supreme, you know, he's up on Instagram, at Lamore Supreme. He's our artwork guy. He's, you know, he's in that Marvel zone. He studies Stan Lee and Jack Kirby from the comic books, and right now he developed a character for us, you know, the super villain, the anti-hero, you know, Czarface. You know, we've been able to put out collectors, dolls, and books, and action figures, and all types of wildness to go with the genre that comes with that. And, you know, that for me was a boost to my career away from Wu-Tang. You know, the Wu-Tang put albums out once every 10 years, maybe, or 5, 6 years. So in between Wu-Tang and touring and doing all that, doing my own personal thing, Zarface fills in those gaps. And Zarface has been doing well, man. Like we 10 projects in.
And also, as well, I actually read that Marvel Entertainment actually reached out to you guys to actually record a track for their Black Panther web series. I was wondering if you could actually tell us a bit more about that, and of course, what was it just like working alongside the Marvel comic book creators?
Yeah, man, that was a nice alley-oop bounce pass from my man Tahiti Coates. Shout out to Tahiti, man, and Esoteric, he's heavy into that world, so the thought came together, like, yo, let's do it. All in Together Now, I think was the name of that track. And that beat was just crazy. It sounded like a Black Panther cartoon, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, yo, this is crazy right here. And, one thing about Esoteric, what I love about him, people, look at him like, oh, why'd you team up with the white rapper and all that? And I'm like, bro, I don't look at my brother like that. Although he is a white rapper, he raps to me with the skill and the passion and the dedication that where he started from, where hip hop came from. So, for him, he's not talking about shooting up the party and all the hood shit that I might talk about. But he's going to give you the flip side. He's giving you actual lyrics. He's throwing so many punches, and man, like, he keeps me on my punchline game. I'm not really a punchline rapper, but if you hear me on Zarface, I'm saying on sites for craziness. Raps like Army of the Dead. I'm Batista. I'm fresher than your kids on Easter, and I'm able to play around with it based on the way he bounces around. My Wu-Tang sword. But I don't have to pull my Wu-Tang sword out when I'm doing Zarface. You know what I mean? It's two different lanes, and it's good for me because it allows me to, diversify my bond. you know.
And also, as well, October 13th of 2017, Wu-Tang Clan actually released The Saga Continues. I was wondering if you can tell our listeners a bit more about that phenomenal record. And of course, like, sorry, if you can just tell us the story behind that, because I know as well that it actually sold over pretty much 20,000 copies in the first week, and that's phenomenal, especially for this digital age.
Definitely for the old heads. The old heads, the old head dudes, man. It's like I said to start the show off, man. It's a blessing to still be here all these years later and still be appreciated. You know what I'm saying? And that album was my brother Matt, DJ Mathematics, doing what he does. He just called me up, said, "Hey, I got these tracks, you, Redman," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And that was actually my first track with Redman. So I was like, definitely down to do it. And, he's one of my inspirations, one of my idols in the rap game. Before I ever even wrote a rhyme, I was listening to Redman. So being on the track was just no question. So I heard the beat, man, and, just went in. And then he gave me another call, like, I need you again on this other joint. People say, and Lesson Learned on that project. And both had Redman on it. So, we was fortunate to do caught two videos off of that. And, I'm just happy to be a part of that drive and be a part of that, initial force. Because, Inspectah is always on the front line, bro. I try to tell people, always on the front line, he's the setter. I want to kill that misconception of all my people out there in Canada. I love y'all. Y'all been supporting Wu-Tang from day one. And I love that y'all ain't no yes men. Y'all appreciate real lyrics. Because I've been to Canada plenty of times, different places, and everybody let you know, man, that was whack, bro. Like, that's just, like, they're serious about their joints. And I can appreciate that.
And I gotta say as well, they're well inspected. When this record actually dropped around my area, it's really hard to actually like buy CDs, especially today. So I remember Walmart was really my only source, and they were actually advertising to get this album. And turns out they told me afterwards they're not going to. I went in like every day and bugged them for like a straight week. I'm like, you got that new Wu-Tang yet? Like over and over again, and they finally got a stack, and they actually had a copy put aside for me just because they wanted me to shut up. And I still got that record today.
Oh, that's dope, man. Yeah, 'cause it's hard to find. I saw, what was it? One of the old singles in a record store. They sell them for $3, and they only had one. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Gravel Pit. You know, but it's like you can't find those things anymore. If you have it, hold on to it. Treasure it. It may be worth something one day.
But also as well, man, April 23rd of this year, you actually release the song Battle Scars alongside Armada, the producer, and Timbo King. I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about this most recent release. And of course, where can we actually check it out if our listeners haven't already had the opportunity to do so?
I'm not sure on that one. That was, once again, that was an alley-oop thrown to me by my man Timbo King. Shout out Timbo. Yeah, I just did that one on the look, bro. Like, a lot of times people come at me. I can't do every feature. I don't want to do every feature, but certain features come to me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to leave my stamp on that. From what I heard, man, dude got bars. Dude got bars, and I'm just with the sport, bro. I'm past the point of trying to be the richest or the illest, or I'm 30 years in, bro. I'm cool. My point has been proven. I'm doing it right now out the love of things. Like I said, some people I'm doing features for off the arm. My brother Timbo, things of that nature. And when I heard the track, it sounded like it was going to be dope to me. So I said, yeah, okay, I can get involved in that. And yeah, I remember that track. That's recent. That's one of the last features I did.
And the one thing I have to ask, man, and I'm pretty sure a lot of Wu-Tang Clan fans are probably wondering the same thing right now. Obviously, we just recently spoke about your guys' 2017 release. I have to ask, are we going to see another Wu-Tang Clan album here in the future? Like, do you guys have anything currently in the works?
Yeah, we've been talking about it. There's been a message that went out where Ghost said he's going to A&R the next one. I'm not sure if that's still true or not, but the talks are in the works on putting it together. It's more of a, it comes down to producers. Like as a clan member myself, I would definitely entertain the thought of a RZA produced Wu-Tang out, right? But I would also entertain the thought of other producers coming in, and we rapping off of the Derringers out there, the Alchemists, the Mad Libs, even the DJ Premiers and the Havocs. Like, I would love even the new cats. All of them, the Mike Wills, the Hit Boys, and all of that. Like, it don't matter. I mean, whatever stays in our lane, Like, we created our own lane as long as we true to that. So, that's why I think a RZA produced album would be dope. But I also think having a mixture of some of the top producers from our generation, that can create that newer sound, and a mixture of the top cats nowadays, that would also be that'd be a dope look for us, being 30 years in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, having all the young cats that's out there making it pop right now come in and throw a track on here and grab one from this guy and this guy, I mean, what you think?
I gotta say that would be absolutely phenomenal. Is being able to hear some of these up and coming producers, because there's a lot of great newer producers actually out there today. I have to admit, due to the internet, a lot of people are diving into either producing or being an artist. But if you actually dive into the nest and actually and dig through, you can definitely find some phenomenal producers.
Yeah, man, it's dope. But one of my favorite producers right now, y'all probably may have heard of him or not. He produces for like Willie the Kid. He's in that like Rock Marciano type vibe. His name is V Don. V Don is dope, man. You know, and when you talk about Wu-Tang and sounds and that's just one person, not to leave anybody out, but that's who I've been listening to. Like my man Willie the Kid, his production, it sounds theatrical to me. You know, you can paint pictures off it. But I'm just like, yeah, but you get those type of guys and you put a new one together. You know, you do a double album. You know, half RZA, half industry, whatever it takes. But I think the fans will appreciate the clan just coming together one more time. You know.
But I have to ask, man, what is next for yourself as a solo artist? Like, is there anything we actually missed during this interview? Anything else you still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on the Canadian airwaves this evening.
Yeah, man, live on the Canadian airwaves. I'm feeling good, man. Like I said, shout out to everybody out there that's representing Wu-Tang. I know Wu-Tang is bigger than just the 9 MCs, man. It's a culture. It's a way of life. Shout out to my killer bees everywhere. I'm working on 2 projects, really 3. I got another Zarface project in the works. We got about 10 songs on that. I got about, 40 songs between 2 other projects. One of them is, I'm not going to throw no titles out. Both untitled for right now, but the songs are done being mixed. And, I'm about to pop up. I'm about to pop up off the radar as I always do. And, and cause some catastrophe. But, one album is more in my hip-hop rap zone. The other album is more the grown-up side. I'm touching different issues, different topics, gambling, addiction, and things of that nature. It's a more grown-up side of it. So it's like it's a tale of two sides of one coin, if you want to say.
It definitely sounds like you got a lot of phenomenal projects in the works.
What's that?
I just said it definitely sounds like you got a lot of phenomenal projects currently in the works. I'm excited myself as a fan.
Yeah, I've been busy, man. I've been busy, but I've been quiet. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to flash my gun. I pull out when necessary. And you're about to see a lot of visuals, a lot of new music coming independently, making my little last stamp in this game before I fade to black and retire off it. It's a young man's game now, so I appreciate all the love and support that I've got through the years. And I'm not retiring yet, but it's been 30 years, man. And like I said, I appreciate all the love that I've been getting. So I got these projects. Gonna drop these, if a Wu-Tang album pops up in the works, that's gonna be a beautiful thing. That's like four dope projects. In the meantime, like I said, with those projects coming out, I got a marijuana hustle I'm into. My brother Ray got his Astoria, Meth got his Cal. Beck is coming with his team. My deal with my partners, Coyote Cannabis out here in Massachusetts.
And I gotta say, man, do you ever think you might actually bring the weed business as well down here to Canada? Because I do know, like, down here in Canada, we're entirely legal, so it would definitely be dope to actually smoke some Inspectah Dex weed.
Yeah, man. Anybody out there wanna talk, man? We're doing licensing deals, so hit me up on the gram or something, man. And we work it out.
And also, Inspectah Deck, man, before we part ways, man, I was wondering if you can drop them social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you if they're not already doing so. I know you're a multi-platinum, sold millions all over the world, but just in case individuals aren't that tech savvy and can't fully find you on the gram, how can they go about following you on social media?
Yeah, on the socials, man, I'm really just narrowed down to Instagram for now. INF_TAGRAMF. If you want to hit me on Facebook, it's at rebellion.2020 on Facebook. And that's my fan page on there. But if you want to interact, especially you talking business or whatever the case, it's info@rebelionf.com.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, Inspectah, man, thank you so much for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening, and thank you for making music that all of us had the opportunity to enjoy for 30 plus years, man. It was definitely an honor and definitely a privilege to welcome and interview one of my favorite hip hop MCs to ever grace the culture, man. So for that, thank you for your time this evening.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you, man. They told me if you're gonna talk to somebody, talk to DJ Immortal and Outlaw Radio. You know, that's what's up. Appreciate y'all having me.
Hey, man, it's an honor to hear that coming out of the legend's mouth, man. So thank you so much, and definitely have yourself a wonderful night, man. Looking forward to those new projects when they do drop.
All right, thank you, man.